This is how Man United need to think about how to reconstruct their midfield this summer. Now, we've heard so many names over the last 2 years, let's be real, and probably longer, being linked to us because we're still trying to find that balance in the middle. You know what we haven't had for absolutely ages is someone who can play in a deep lying, either defensive mid position or a deep line playmaking role. And you might say Casemiro, yeah, but I'll be real. I think a lot of people talk about, oh, Casemiro has been so good for us. We signed him for 70 million. Okay. And in that first season, people said he was amazing. He was good for about 3 months maximum. And I'd say in the last year, like 12 months, he's been good. And he's going to have been here for 5 years. So that's basically a season and a quarter or maximum season and a half. He's done well at 5 years. To be honest, I don't think that's good enough. I think he brings a lot of things to the game though. Like in terms of, I think his goal scoring is elite. His aerial challenging is elite. And that is one thing we will miss in abundance for real. But I just wanted to touch upon your usual suspects and try and show you why I think we should go for certain players and not go for certain players. So we're going to start off with Elliot Anderson. Now, I think this is actually a done deal to City already. So I don't really want to spend too long on this. But people are saying, oh, he'd be the ideal midfielder for Man United. Now, he actually played in a friendly with Kobbie Mainoo for England. I know it was their first game together, but it didn't look that good. And Elliot Anderson is a typical box-to-box player. Now, one thing I will say is I think when we're looking for who we get this summer, it's not specifically to partner Kobbie Mainoo. I think we need to think about, and look, Kobbie Mainoo is literally my favourite player at United, like in my top two. And I want him to start every game. But if we think there's a better option out there, like better combination out there for our midfield, then that's what we should do. We shouldn't be like, Kobbie has to be the guy, so we have to find a partner for Kobbie. That's not how it works. You've seen literally Arsenal do that. When you're building a squad, when you bring players in, they should be players who you think should be going into your first team, like into your first 11. Because otherwise you'll end up like Arsenal, having great squad depth, which I even said they had great squad depth, but they actually just signed backups, and the people who were in those positions already were never going to get challenged. And that's why the squad depth is now messed up. Anyway, Elliot Anderson, look, like I said, I don't think it works with Kobbie Mainoo personally. Maybe it does in the longer run. But I think if you ask him to almost... Because the thing is, it's hard to play 2 8s and a 10, I think, in the Premier League. I think you need some sort of profile as a 6. And I think if you ask Elliot Anderson to do the 6, you're taking away a lot from his game. It's kind of like the opposite for Declan Rice at Arsenal. I think as a 6, I think Declan Rice is probably top 3 in the world, if not top 2 in the world as a defensive mid, in my opinion. But he's been playing as an 8, and I think he's maybe top 20 in the world as an 8. And that's what I think they've suffered from. And I wouldn't want to do that to Anderson. I wouldn't want to be like, hey, you know what? You've been playing amazing as an 8. And your progressive passing's amazing and everything. However, we'd like it if you because we need Kobbie to flourish, you kind of sit back a little bit. And I wouldn't want him to do that. And I don't think it works unless you get Elliot Anderson with someone else. I mean, he's got 3 goals and 2 assists in the league this year, which is good. Discipline, 7 yellow cards, but it is what it is. He plays on the edge. That's a good thing in a way. Market value 60 million, but to be honest, I reckon City will get him for about 80 million this summer. I think it's pretty much done. The only thing that's really holding it up is the next player, which is Tchouaméni. Now, rumour has it is that Real Madrid want Rodri. So Real Madrid are the perpetrators here. Real Madrid want Rodri, but they can only get Rodri if they kind of offload Tchouaméni somewhere. And that's why I think the Tchouaméni links have really gathered pace in the last week or so for Man United, because we need a DM. So they're saying, hey, Man United, you have him, we'll get Rodri, and then it clears City to get Anderson. Now, one thing that annoys me about this is we're just being used as like a little, someone that gets used. Didn't want to swear. But it's just a bit annoying, isn't it? Because I feel like this is exactly what happened to us when we got Agate. We wanted João Neves, but PSG were like, yo, you know what? You take Agate off us for a bit cheaper and everything's calm. And then they took João Neves. And look at Agate now. For me, that's what just concerns me. And to be honest with you, and we're going to compare Camavinga and Tchouaméni because they're both DMs, really. And I personally prefer Camavinga. I know that sounds mental just because the last month he's had where he's been getting sent off and whatnot. He's more erratic, I'm not going to lie to you. Tchouaméni's more like solid in his style. Tchouaméni is decent. I just feel like he lacks personality sometimes. I think he might go hiding. I think he'd flourish in a team which is already set up. Like if he went to City, I think he'd flourish. Whereas if you went to Arsenal, where the pressure's on and stuff, I don't think he'd have the character to really get through. Whereas I feel Camavinga has that character to really push through stuff, like push through adversity. That's the only thing that concerns me with Tchouaméni. I'm just a bit like he's tall, he can win a header, he's good in aerial duels, defensively decent, can pick a pass as well. But I don't know, there's just that fire that's just lacking in him. Whereas Camavinga gives me a spark when I see him play. And he's actually on Transfermarkt, I think his value is 75 million euros. So I think that's just because Real Madrid signed him for 100 million, right? I'm just slightly unsure on Tchouaméni. Like, I know Didier Deschamps really likes him for France. He's got, I think, over 40 caps there for France. Relatively, well, I'll say young age. He's 26. Like, Elliot Anderson's like 23, so there's a bit of a difference there. But I don't know. I'm not super sold on Tchouaméni, and it feels like he's the pivot. It's almost like basketball when you do like trades, because in basketball there's no money that's traded. It's always you need to move contracts essentially, and it's like you're waiting for one thing to click and then everything clicks in place. He's the pivot that needs to move to, like, say, Man United in order for this whole thing to work. So we could just hold it up. Why don't we just do that? And I think it's really worth talking about the style of play that we want to go for as well in this instance. So we had Elliot Anderson. Like I said, if we were to sign him and let's say next to Kobe, right, I'd probably say we're then leaning towards more of a control style play and transitional as well. But what I'm trying to say is we wouldn't have that destroyer really unless you limit Anderson's game, right? So in terms of the way you're going to play, you probably want to play with more control if you've got those two in your centre mid as your two pivots. Whereas Tchouaméni, I don't think he's that type. He's slightly more of like a screener. So I think he would be better on a transition, for instance, like getting the ball front to back more quickly. And I think that's where the next player I want to discuss comes in, Carlos Baleba. Now, I'm a fan of Carlos Baleba, and I know he's had a crap season, which I think his transfer mark value is now down to 55 million. His head's not been there, which is a concern, because if he does come to United and he can't perform under the pressure, then that's a massive concern, right? But his game is more of the destroyer type. So like I said, Anderson, I feel like could play more of a controlling element. Baleba is the only one here, I think, that could complement Mainu in a way that it would free up Mainu to do what the hell he wants. He's probably the only one that does that. And I feel as though if we can get him on a relatively cheap price, maybe we can get another one of these big names as well. I think then it works, because then you kind of can mix up the style, like mix up who you're going to play depending on what style you want to play. If you're facing a team with, you know, a low block, maybe you need that possession, you need to play them little passes in between each other, then Baleba comes out of the team. Whereas if we're playing a bigger team where we know we're going to be under the cosh a little bit and we need to quickly play on the transition, need someone to destroy in the middle of the park, then Baleba plays. So it's horses for courses, but that's what Baleba gives over, for instance, I believe, like a Elliot Anderson and a Tchouaméni. Now, Adam Wharton is a class player. He's a bit slow, but he reminds me like a little bit like Michael Carrick, I'll be real with you. Passing's elite. Like, if we had to put a scale on it, I'd say Adam Wharton is probably the most tiki-taka kind of DM that we could sign potentially this summer. So if we're looking for just pure control in the middle of the park next to Kobe maybe, or someone else, I think, say if you had him and Kobe though, it'd just be like watching prime Barcelona back in the day. But the Premier League isn't like that. Like, you need horses for courses, and the only thing that concerns me is, like I said, if we take away from partnering Kobe, I think Adam Wharton would have to play like with an Agate or something, but I hate Agate. But like, you know, like someone like that who is a destroyer, or a Baleba. And then you've got Tonali, who's actually a really good mix of everything, I think. Tonali's been linked with us more recently, and his transfer market value is quite high. I think it's 80 million euros. I think that's just because he's fancy name. He's also 25 years old, good age. He's been linked with some Italian clubs back to Italy this summer. Has got an alleged betting. Well, no, it's not alleged, is it? It's got a betting thing. That's why he was suspended from Newcastle for ages when he joined. It's always sound like he's not actually happy there. Maybe he just doesn't look happy. I don't know what it is. But personally, I wouldn't want Tonali, because I feel as though, although he can be class on his day, I just don't think he really fits a direction. Like, I feel as though sometimes he might have to be the maverick sometimes, like, in order to really flourish. And yeah, like, he can do a job anywhere, but I don't know, he just, you know what it is? I just feel like he just wants to go back to Italy. He always looks pissed off all the time. I don't know what it is. It's his face, man. I was like, bro, why are you pissed off? So yeah, Tonali not really for me. But if I was to put him on that scale in terms of, you know, like on one side you got your Baleba destroy, and the other side you got Adam Wharton, who's like complete tiki-taka. Sandro Tonali is literally in the middle of them. He can do the destroying and he can do the passing as well. So that's where I would put him for sure. So they're like the main 5 options that we have been linked to in terms of big names. We've had other names as well, like Yao Gomez, Mateus Fernandez. And I think getting one of these 5 big names, maybe Baleba becomes less of a big name because of the price we can get him at. But I say these 5 big names and then like a Yao Gomez and a Mateus Fernandez. I think that's the play here. Depending on, I don't know how much we got to spend. I can't imagine it's a lot. It just depends on the style we want to play. And that's dictated by the manager as well, which that's the thing that we need to sort out before we sort out anything. Let's get the manager confirmed so they know who they want to sign, what kind of play style we want to play, and then you move accordingly. That's how you build it. Right now, it feels very haphazard with Man United, super haphazard, and I absolutely hate it. Anyway, please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Drop your comments below. Let me know who you want to see at Old Trafford this summer. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Peace.